Hey, how's it going guys? Blue Tempest here and welcome to my reading log for the month of July 2021. I did read a decent amount of manga in this month and even completed a couple of series that are in my collection. So I'm really excited to talk about these series in this video, as well as reveal my manga of the month for the month of July. So stay tuned till the end of the video so you can find out what that is. And without further ado, let's get into it. So to start off, I do want to talk about Ajin Demi-Human. Now I did do a 3-volume rule video on this series, so definitely check that out so you can get more of my in-depth thoughts on this series. But I did also manage to read volumes 4 and 5 of Ajin, and I've got to say, I did really enjoy the first 3 volumes, but honestly, volumes 4 and 5 made the series almost even better for me, and I can't wait to read more of this. Unfortunately, volume 6 is out of stock everywhere now, so I'm gonna have to wait a bit to continue reading it, but I am really looking forward to when I do get that volume 6. Next up, I do want to talk about another series that I also did a 3-volume rule video on, and that is Berserk. So I have been reading these deluxe editions, and as you can see, this is the 3rd, where we get more into the Golden Age arc, and I absolutely loved this deluxe edition of Berserk. Like I said, this is right in the midst of the Golden Age arc, which is amazing so far. I'm really loving all of the character development with Guts, and then as well as with some of the other characters such as Casca and Griffith. We do get to see a lot more bonding and just relationship between Guts and Casca, which is written amazingly. And yeah, the art just keeps getting better, and just the story and the plot just keeps thickening, and I can't wait to continue reading this. I do know that from here on out, things are probably gonna get super crazy, so I'm looking forward to that. This past month, I did also continue reading some more Assassination Classroom. So right here, I have volume 6 and 7 of Assassination Classroom, and I'm actually really enjoying this series still. I think it's actually getting better with these 2 volumes that I did read, where we get into the end of the first semester for the students, and then going into their summer vacation. And during the summer vacation, they do go to an island, and that arc so far has been my favorite arc of Assassination Classroom. Just the big elaborate plan and assassination attempt on Koro sensei that they do make in that arc is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to continue reading this series. Hopefully this month I will read some more volumes of it and let you guys know what I think. Now, if you guys did watch my first Shopping with the Squad video, I did pick up the first 3 volumes of Gigant last month, and I did read the first 3 volumes of Gigant. I do have some things to say about this series, but I'm gonna save it for an upcoming 3-volume rule video that I am gonna be doing with my friend Garo. So pretty excited about that, and keep a lookout for that video to come out in the near future. All right, next up we have another series that I have been continuing, and that is the 2nd volume of Undead Unluck. I did read the 1st volume when it came out and really enjoyed it, so I was excited to get into this volume, and honestly, I'm still really enjoying it. I actually feel like I'm getting more attached to the characters and just the storyline of Undead Unluck. This volume gets into more of finding out the abilities of the character Shen that we met in the 1st volume, as well as finding out a little bit more about Andy and his past. The big battle that takes place in this volume is amazing. It's done really well. If there's one thing about this series, is that the combat and just the power system is super creative. It does remind me of things like the Nen system in Hunter x Hunter, which I do enjoy. And yeah, I wish this series got a little bit more love in the community, as it is just a really fun ride. While it isn't the best Shonen Jump series or just the best series out there right now, it's a solid read. I'm gonna keep checking it out as the volumes come out, and maybe hopefully do a 3-volume rule video once volume 3 is out. Next up, we have another brand new Shonen Jump title, and that is Mashel. This series is absolutely hilarious, and I highly recommend it to anyone. This is definitely the type of manga that I feel like could appeal to most people, as it's about our main character Mash, who is the only person in a world full of magic that can't use magic. And when he enrolls in a school for magic students, the situations get super hilarious and super interesting, as Mash, like I said, he can't use magic. He does use his bare strength to basically overcome not being able to use magic. This manga is hilarious. The humor is really up my alley. I laughed many times while reading this volume. All the characters I really enjoyed, and I'm just really excited to keep going with this series. Can't wait for volume 2 of this, and we'll for sure be doing a 3-volume rule video on this series as well once the 3rd volume comes out. Next up, we have the 1st volume of a series that is pretty praised in the manga community, and that is Dora Hedoro. So what do I think of Dora Hedoro? This series is really interesting. I think that the 1st volume is a little slow and takes a bit to get going as far as just introducing the characters and the world, but what there is in this 1st volume is really interesting and intriguing. I'm really looking forward to checking out more of the series, if I can find volume 2, that is. But yeah, Dora Hedoro, the artwork is fantastic. It's got a really gritty art style to it, and it just seems like a really silly series. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of like the visuals that are associated with like Tim Burton and things like that. But yeah, Dora Hedoro, really interesting 1st volume. While not my favorite 1st volume I've read, I'm gonna keep reading the series because I know that a lot of you guys do recommend it and really love it in the manga community. So yeah, can't wait to read more of this. Next up is another volume 1, and that is for Fire Punch. So if you guys watched my last manga reading log, then you guys know that I named Chainsaw Man my manga of the month for last month. And then Fire Punch, this is a series actually written by Tatsuki Fujimoto, the same author of Chainsaw Man. I was really looking forward to getting into the series, and man oh man, this 1st volume was insane. Definitely a very mature read, but man, the world and the powers that are in this manga are just so crazy. Honestly, I couldn't even begin to describe what this story is about. Our main character here, he basically has the ability where he could regenerate his body, and he meets another character who I'm guessing is the villain of the series. I may be wrong because who knows where the story is gonna go. But that character basically has this flame ability where he could basically catch people on fire, and the flame won't die until that person dies. So really interesting. And since our main character can regenerate his body, he basically has this everlasting flame on his body and he still doesn't die. So yeah, with that, super interesting. There's way more that goes into it than just that. And I'm sorry if that was a little bit of a confusing explanation, but it's really a series that you kind of just have to read to really understand. But yeah, super excited to read some more Fire Punch. Volume 2 is out of stock everywhere right now as well, so gonna have to wait on that one. But yeah, next up is another Volume 1. As you can see, there's a little bit of a trend here. I've been reading a lot of new series in this reading log. So this was actually a recommendation from one of my subscribers on Instagram. So shout outs to you, you know who you are. And yeah, I was really intrigued on this series. I went in super blind. I didn't really even know much about it, but this is basically a dark fantasy series that has to do with a character who was cursed by a witch, and they're trying to find that witch so they can break the curse, basically. So actually, I didn't even talk about the premise of Dora Hedoro, but they both have a similar premise, which is really interesting, but completely different vibes on both series. as yeah, this gives me like some, you know, fantasy, like steampunk vibes, which is really interesting. The artwork, if I didn't mention already, is fantastic. And while this wasn't like a first volume that hooked me right away, I definitely will continue reading this series as it's very interesting, and I'm really intrigued to see what this story is all about. So yeah, that is The Witch and the Beast, Volume 1. Alright guys, so the next series is a little bit of a fan service heavy series, and that is Parallel Paradise. Honestly, this isn't a manga that I would really recommend to anyone unless you know what you're getting into. But yeah, don't really want to talk about this one too much as it is a very mature, very fan service heavy manga. But I did read Volume 1 and also Volume 2. It does get kind of randomly dark and twisted in the second volume, which is intriguing, but at the same time, I don't know, I was kind of going into this for the fan service, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I was going into this, you know, wanting to just turn my brain off and just like read something entertaining. But yeah, it like I said, I'm gonna keep reading it. I do have 4 volumes of this, so we'll see what I think. This is also written by the same author of Elfen Lied, if that really makes a difference, because honestly, this series is completely different from that. But yeah, that's Parallel Paradise. All right, and next up we have a series by Shuzo Oshimi, which you guys know is one of my favorite mangakas. Actually, after having really catching up with all of his works released in English so far, he's my favorite mangaka for sure. But the series in question that I do want to talk about is Inside Mari. Now, I did read volumes 1 through 7 of this series, which isn't the entirety of the series as there are still 2 more volumes to come out. But I absolutely loved this read. This story is a psychological take on the body swap genre, where you really get a sense of like what would actually happen if a man woke up in a girl's body. There is a lot of psychological elements to that, and yeah, this is just such a unique and well-crafted story. There's a lot of mystery surrounding it as well, with the whole supernatural element of it, and I'm really excited to see where the story goes from here. I know that it does feel like it's wrapping up because there are only 2 volumes left, but yeah, Inside Mari, really interesting read. Maybe not one of my favorite Shuzo Oshimi works, but honestly that's not really saying much as I absolutely love all of his works. So yeah, definitely check this out. Maybe not as your first work by Shuzo Oshimi, but if you do like some of his other series such as The Flowers of Evil or Blood on the Tracks, then I think you will really get enjoyment out of Inside Mari. Alright, and the last thing I did want to talk about before we get into my manga of the month is that I did read the digital only one-shot by Tatsuki Fujimoto, Look Back. This was a brand new one-shot that released this past month, and I thought it was a really great read. While it's completely different from the type of stuff that he's done in Chainsaw Man and in Fire Punch, it's not really an action and fantasy and just, you know, that type of series. It's a very down-to-earth series. Did remind me a bit of things like Solanin by Inio Asano, and it was a really emotional read. I definitely recommend you guys to read it. You could read it on the Viz website or on the Shonen Jump app. I'm pretty sure you could just read it for free, and it's a really fast read, so you really have no excuse. But yeah, I think that this story about 2 girls who want to become mangakas, I think the story really showcases how amazing of a writer Tatsuki Fujimoto is. His art is amazing, and his story and characters are just so uniquely done. I haven't really experienced many things similar to his writing style in other manga, so definitely check out Look Back if you're a fan of some of his other series, or if you're looking for a really down-to-earth one-shot read. Alright guys, and we have made it to the portion of the video that I'm going to be talking about my manga of the month. So my manga of the month for the month of July is Happiness. This is yet another work by Shuzo Oshimi, the second work of his to make it to my manga of the month, and also my second favorite work by him, behind the Flowers of Evil. So I did read the entire series. As you guys may have seen from my last manga haul, I did finally complete my set. So yeah, I literally binged all 10 volumes of this series in one sitting, which seems crazy, but this is a really fast-paced read, and just a fast read in general. I think it only took me like maybe 2.5, 3 hours to read it. But what do I have to say about Happiness? Well, this is a psychological horror slash thriller series that delves into vampires. Our main character gets bitten by a vampire, and he has to deal with the repercussions of that, and it goes into a very realistic take of like, what if vampires were real? What would actually happen? I feel like a lot of the things that go into the story are things that you don't typically see in a vampire story, which is really interesting. And I think that just like the Flowers of Evil, the story does have like two halves to it. So the second half goes in a direction that I honestly did not expect at all, but I think it was really well done, and it was just such a great read. I will give a little bit of a trigger warning. This series gets really dark, really twisted, really messed up, especially later on in the story. But if you can handle things like gore and violence and just, you know, things like that, then I think that you will definitely enjoy this read. And if you've read other Oshimi works, like I said, then this is a no-brainer for you as well. So yeah, Happiness is my manga of the month for the month of July. And with that, that completes my reading log for the month of July. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you did, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below letting me know if you guys have read any of these series, and also let me know what you guys have read in the past month of July. If you guys did enjoy this video and all of my content, then make sure to hit the notification bell so you can get notified every time I upload a brand new video. All of my social media links are also down in the description for Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And that basically does it for this video. So I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.